All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another Wolf Market Talk space. Hyped to get into the conversation. We try and host these shows every single day here at Wolf, talking all things crypto, all things Bitcoin, which, by the way, has stopped pumping slightly, but then we're back up today. I think if I'm looking at this right, Bitcoin is sitting at $88,000, 88K. We've got Ethereum sitting at $2,000, XRP at $2.44, Solana at 146 bucks, Dogecoin almost cracking 20 cents. Interesting stuff across the board. Cardano at 76 cents. So all of crypto currently in the last hour up anywhere from 0.5 to 1% across the board from a lot of those coins. In the last 24 hours, Bitcoin is kind of flat, had a nice little run here. On the 7 days, Bitcoin's up 8%. Ethereum up 10%. So interesting stuff. I know we've been chatting the last couple days on what we're thinking is going to happen next. Some people have flipped bullish. I'd say a majority of Twitter is back to bullish. And we've got some interesting opinions here on the board. I'm excited to get into this conversation. If you haven't already, please do retweet the space. Let people know that we have begun. It is the easiest free way to support the show if you guys like these conversations. And definitely recommend you guys checking out all the speakers up on stage here. We got some ballers. I see we got Dom, Bits of Wealth, Tony. I think we've just gotten up here. Price, Luca, Trading Soldier here as well. Let me kick it over to Tony. Actually, I'd love to hear some thoughts over from him at a high level. What's going on, Tony? Oh, actually, Tony just connected. He may need a minute to get into the conversation. Let me hit Bits. Bits, I saw you were live on stream earlier.
Yeah, I've been trying to get a few of those in every single week. It's just in these kind of markets, I just feel like it's really easy to post content and then like retroactively, say, "Oh, I was right" or "I was wrong." But when you're doing it live, it's just another level of accountability, and there's just increased transparency too. So I'm a big fan of learning on lives. It's one of the big ways that I learned was just jumping on live sessions with instructors or with communities, and I think there's a lot of value in that. And even for the person that's streaming, right, that's doing the live, there's just a ton of value that you get out of it. Number one, it helps you keep your head on straight because you're having to talk through things live as you're looking at it. And if for some reason you have a bias and you're kind of talking through it, sometimes verbalizing that helps you recognize that you have a bias or something that's maybe no longer valid. And then there's the accountability side of it as well, where it's like, if we're saying something, we want to make sure that it's not just the words, but our actions are backing that up, and that we're consistent in it. So I really enjoy doing them. I'm trying to make them as like informative or educational as I can, and really, I'm pretty open to feedback on those. I want them to be valuable not just to myself, but to the people that are going on there and engaging with me. So it's fun. I'm really enjoying it.
Right on, dude. Well, it's good to see you putting out that content. Love to see it. Let me hit Trading Soldier. Trading Soldier, good to have you up on stage here. Would love to get some thoughts over from you on what's going on in the crypto world. Any key levels you're paying attention to, or certain trades, or Bitcoin, any of those things.
Hi, thank you for inviting me to this space. This is my first time here, so thank you very much for trusting me. And as I was saying, Bits, I'm agree with him because we as traders, we can only adapt to the market. And market is always changing, so we need to look at what the market is doing and adapt, okay? So flipping bearish, flipping bullish, being at the extremes is not always the right thing to do. And as traders, we need to flip and go along with the waves of the market. So I'm looking at Bitcoin dominance first and foremost, because if you look at that chart, it's completely ripping higher. And until Bitcoin dominance doesn't start to show depletion or weakness, I don't want to look at longs on altcoins or Ethereum, okay? So for the moment, all the eyes are on Bitcoin, fundamentally, and for a price action standpoint, also, you can see that the price is, let's say, we have retraced a little bit. Now we are fighting in the daily time frame with the daily 200 EMA, and also on the 4-hour time frame, we are fighting with 200 EMA. So I'm looking at those, and I am, how to say, technical levels as support and resistance dynamic levels. So for the moment, I'm looking at that, and I'm updating my followers and the people who follow me on my Twitter on a daily basis, also on YouTube. So I'm looking at those levels.
Let's go. Dude, yeah, it's great to have you up here. And definitely as other speakers are going, if there's any thoughts you or the rest of the panel has, definitely throw up a hand as well. One person I want to hear from is Bad Price with the new profile picture. It's crazy, dude. This guy's throwing me off here in the middle of the week on Tuesday. He's out here changing it up on me. Price, dude, is this a reflection of all the blood that has been spilled so that everyone could pump your bags lately from all these 50x long trades? Or what's going on? It's good to have you.
Yes, it is. There's been blood. Oh man, yeah. I was up a bit late last night, so I'm still getting coffee in me. But just checking out the charts, seeing renders up nicely. I grabbed a nice bag of that, like around what, like 280 or something like that. It's at 410, and it broke through a level of resistance. Just saw Zeus is up nicely as well. Um, that's right now actually testing a level of resistance. And I did a hedge. I tweeted it out. Actually, I tweeted it out before I entered it on BTC. Just wanted to, I never like being just net long or net short. So, um, Bitcoin was up testing the value area high of the range that we've been in. And I just felt like that was a good spot to put a hedge on, especially like I was saying, there's bearish divergences on lower time frames coming in. And the value area high is around what, like 88, 600, somewhere around there. Yeah, so I put on a hedge. Uh, that went nice. I mean, I woke up today, it was stopped out, but I took my TP1 up about 70, 80% on it or something, and then just activated a trailing stop because I figured it'd bounce back. Um, like usually when we test these value area highs like this, we're just not going to break through on the first go. So it's making a run back up for it right now. So hopefully we break through it and get a little extended. And yeah, I'll look to enter a hedge once we get a little bit extended. So that's pretty much it, man. Just trying to get some coffee in me.
I hear you, man. I hear you. Yeah, you've been talking a lot about render. Interesting stuff, man. I think we got Tony back up here on stage, so I want to kick it over to him.
Hey guys, can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
All right,
Loud and clear.
beautiful. Audio issue fixed. All right, thank you so much for having me again. My thoughts haven't changed all too much since the last time I was on. Still leaning mostly bearish on just about everything. Obviously there's a recovery going on, and that is fantastic. And I guess even before I move on, look, I just want to kind of clarify, like I've got this bearish sort of outlook, but it brings me no pleasure whatsoever to have a bearish outlook. Not only is it kind of not what I want for my own portfolio, but I genuinely don't like to see people fearful or in despair or losing money. So when I see something bearish in the charts and my outlook becomes bearish, it's really only because that's what I'm seeing. And right now I have fully de-risked everything related to altcoins. I have a bag of XRP and a bag of Litecoin. And then I still got some Bitcoin. But aside from that, I've heavily de-risked. I just don't like the look of the market. And look, we have two camps here. We have one camp saying, hey, the top could be in, or if it's not in right now, it's very close. That's more where I'm at. And then we have this other camp which says so much higher and is really pointing to things like 2017 sort of happening all over again. And I just honestly feel like that's such fairy tale type wishful thinking. I guess some sort of like bomb can go off of enthusiasm related to all this pro crypto policy and strategic reserves and all these other things. But as someone who was around during late 2017, this time is so incredibly different. I realize the chart sort of builds up and looks similar on the way up as 2017, but we no one knew what crypto really was at that point. I mean, granted, people did and people were in it and buying it, but the mainstream masses had no idea. People know what Bitcoin is right now, even if they don't fully understand it. They know what cryptocurrencies are, even if they don't fully understand it. This was truly like the bubble point of everybody speculating and being like, wow, what could this stuff be? Bitcoin went from like hundreds of dollars, actually worthless, to $20,000 at that point. It caused everybody to look for the next Bitcoin. And not only were they looking for the next Bitcoin, but they were buying Bitcoin to exchange into altcoins. We have to understand that put additional buy pressure on Bitcoin because people wanted to buy Bitcoin and exchange it for altcoins. You couldn't just go on Coinbase and buy that many altcoins back then. So this was the method. This was the way. It added additional buy pressure, the breadth, and just each coin's success sort of feeding off each other just made this a frenzy that I just don't see repeating ever, let alone right now when, again, money is tight, and shrinking macro conditions. Now, my sample size is really small, but a local town that I live in is dealing with like half of the education workforce being laid off right now. So, I realize that's a small sample, and it's just things I'm seeing are starting to show me signs of potential weakness in the economy. And if that's happening right now, I just don't see where this incredible enthusiasm and sort of frenzy of buying and speculating is going to come from to boost altcoins the way that people sort of think in 2017. And then I just don't think Bitcoin benefits the same way without that sort of environment. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now and trying to get people to understand from a technical standpoint that 2017 and 2025 just are not the same. There's a variety of, I'll even just use the LMACD right now as an example. This thing is tilting over. It's not quite at a bearish crossover, but it does show that momentum is turning. And if you look at 2017, this thing never even came close to crossing over the monthly LMACD. It just sort of cranked upward because upward momentum was so strong at the time. So I'm open to being wrong, open to all scenarios. Like I said, I still do have some positions, and if Bitcoin goes up from here, I absolutely benefit from that. But I'm trying to be smart. And just to wrap this up, if we do get 2017 again, and altcoins are going to do 200x's, I got plenty of time to get in. I'm happy with a 10x, a 20x. I don't need 100, 200x. But if they are going to crash another 50 to 90%, I don't want no part of that. So I really honestly think that my strategy is really just wise risk management right now. And when I know more, I can make decisions. Thanks.
Yeah.
Tony,
Hey,
Tony, don't you
Bits.
understand though, Tony, that you've probably seen this saying though, right? That bears, we sound smart, but the bulls make all the money, man. I mean, the proof is in the chart since December, right? They've been up only, man. We've been losing money out here calling for downside.
Bits. It
I,
brings them no pleasure to be bearish. Bits.
Well, this is where me and Tony are gonna differ, man. I get all the pleasure when the Moon Boys are getting wrecked. So
you know what? It's funny. So I'm like a big mass psychology guy. I just did a big presentation for the CMT Association on mass psychology. And the more I'm sort of attacked and like targeted for having this sort of bearish opinion, the more I sort of think bears are on the right side this time. The market is always going to humble the side that's wrong, and sometimes the side that's wrong is the loudest. So the way I look at it is, if I'm wrong, the market's going to humble me. But this might be one of the first times I do take a little bit of enjoyment just because how attacked I have been. But and I get the point. We're not making money. I did do some hedge shorting, did some short term positions. I really should have played this whole thing better. I mean, I was calling for January 20th inauguration day as the final top, and market conditions didn't quite look at the time like it was ready to top, but it did to the exact day. So yeah, I'm kind of not really thrilled with myself and how I've managed things, and that's another reason why I'm kind of looking at things a little bit more closely right now.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like, you're data driven though, and like I think you bring up a good point where, um, it doesn't matter how long you've been doing analysis on the market or how well versed you are in it. There's still a lot to be said about just kind of waiting for things to play out, getting the final confirmations, because we all have hunches, right? At the end of the day, we're all speculating, whether you're speculating it's going up or I'm speculating it's going down. It's all speculation. We all have the same sample set of data, and we're just trying to interpret it through our own experiences, our own education, our own perspective. And I think there's a lot of people trying to push this narrative that, like, if you get good enough, you're always going to call it, or you're always going to be on the right side, and then you have the one failure, and then, oh, see, this guy didn't know what he was talking about. But that's not how it works, right? Like, even the best of the best, they're speculating, they're using data, and you can be macro correct and still miss the zoomed in move, the short term move. So what were you saying, Bad Price? I know you were chiming in a little while ago.
No, I was just joking around saying it brings him no pleasure because I know you get pleasure out of being a bear. But I mean, we were talking the other day, right? About yeah, it looks like the sand's starting to run thin. Just about there might not be that much time left. Um, Personally, I've been talking about it on here. I sold a lot of my bags a while ago, and um, just kind of getting back in. Um, I like to hedge, and I think if you're a trader, I think it's just smart to play it level by level, especially at this point.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see what happens. I mean, you know, um, what is it that you said, Bits, about longs making money, man? There's
Yeah, there, there,
man,
there there's a
short
saying there.
short money though is so nice.
Oh, short money is fast, and it's
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 so
it's
fast. Yeah.
aggressive. It's beautiful. Yeah, there's a saying that was going around. It was really popular last year. But it was one of those like cult meme things that people were spewing, but they were saying, "Oh, bears sound smart, bulls make money." It's like, yeah, I mean, when it's going up, when it's in easy mode, when even an idiot can make money, sure, maybe. Let's see how that fares once you start ranging, or once you're in a bear market, right? Then it kind of flips a little bit. So yeah, there's always something to be said about like leveling up your skill set, and that's something that like Cade's been bringing up a lot on the Wolf Spaces. Is that doesn't matter if you're a trader, doesn't matter if you're an investor. If you're not leveling up yourself, your bags are going to be equivalent to your level of skill there. So like, don't expect your bags to outgrow your personal growth. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, and you're gonna feel how I felt when I paid taxes this year. It hurt. It did not feel like it was time to go buy more things in the market. That is not how I felt. I was feeling a little bit of pain. But no, great points here all around. I'm loving this discussion. I want to hit Dom, get some thoughts over from him, and then bring Luca into the conversation as well. I'm really curious on y'all's perspectives. But Dom, over to you, man.
Yeah, I think Tony made a pretty good point there that I've been trying to echo myself is, 2017 and even 2021, a lot different market, way different type of market. Liquidity was so thin back then, and that's what people don't they kind of fail to realize is that you got to ignore market cap. You have to realize that the liquidity back then, there was such less sell side liquidity in the order books, mainly because the market makers were very small. We just had a few market makers. Coins could push up hundreds and hundreds of percent. And it seems like people still fail to realize the fundamental difference between now and then. And that's why personally, I haven't put too much weight on fractals, or just general, like, other than shorter time frame fractals, or just, general price action, how it moves. I've kind of ignored what happened then, and even just looking at different trends and stuff like that, I put less and less weight on that just because of, it goes back to the same concept of why I even think our cycles will be different, why I think Bitcoin won't drop 80% this cycle. Just a way different market, and I think it's important to realize that. So, Tony made a good point there, and I just wanted to echo that. Beyond that, I'm just looking at Bitcoin here. It's a very interesting revival that we're having. If you kind of just look at the trend, it's not a usual type rebound. And that tells me two things, honestly. And I know you can't take much from it, but it tells me that it can continue to grind up like it is. It's like it's got like a perfect trend. You could even look at like a bear flag, even. If you just go look back to last year, Bitcoin, when it bounces off lows, it doesn't act like this. So this is a very interesting type price action that I'll continue to monitor. And then today, we're seeing a lot of spot selling coming in through Binance, but in a wild turn of events, they're actually not making as much price impact as they usually do. Binance usually runs the show. After looking at all the order books and all the just the general flows, we could see things like Coinbase and Bitfinex and even Bybit, they could have their own flows that are completely different than what Price is doing. But 97% of the time, Binance is their flows are what's moving price. But right now, all the spot selling is actually getting absorbed. So that's something I'm monitoring just in the short term because we usually don't see this. I can't even recall the last time we've seen this much spot selling coming in through Binance, but price is kind of failing to react. So that's something just in the short term. I'm still riding my longs. I'm being a lot more, being a little bit more defensive now because we're starting to enter areas where we could see rejections, between here and, 90, maybe even 92 if we extend up there. But beyond that, I still think that these altcoins can use some more reviving. I was looking at Doge, I was looking at Cardano, a few other altcoins. Like they're breaking some structures we haven't seen in a while. So that's something that I'll be monitoring. I think we could see more relief there. But I would echo to not get too excited. There's still a lot more things need to happen before we could say that a full trend shift has occurred. So yeah, those are just kind of my short-term thoughts for now.
Very nice. Still riding the longs. Yeah, and I seen your Telegram alert as well. By the way, if you guys are not in Dom's Telegram, it's somewhere on his profile. I think he tweeted it the last couple days. Probably the link is somewhere in there. I highly recommend you guys check that one out. A lot of good alpha in there. I'll say that. Just from a personal level, I've enjoyed my time in there. Let me hit Luca. Luca, good to have you up on stage, brother. What are some of your thoughts? Any key levels you're paying attention to? Any trades, things like that?
Hey man, thanks for having me. Yeah, as Tony said, I would like to add a bit context in there as well about the 2017 and 2000 the current cycle. Things are a lot different, right? Back in 2017, we had like what 1,000 altcoins or something like that, and now we're seeing like 11 million or so. And things have also changed. We haven't seen liquidity really entering the markets, but we've rather seen more of a 1v1 type of battle on these altcoins. Liquidity just flowing from one sector to another, from layer ones to memes to utility coins and so forth. So we haven't really seen that massive alt season that everybody has been wishing for and screaming for the last couple of years. And I think the main argument for that is that we have a different macroeconomic environment. You can't have these sort of risk assets rallying in an environment that doesn't allow risk assets to rally and to outperform. And so we've seen altcoins in essentially what has been a 4-year bear market against Bitcoin. They've completely underperformed. And again, people who really made money on altcoins such as Solana have been making money because liquidity has just shifted from one altcoin to another. And so these are my thoughts on altcoins, and I think that things have definitely changed. A lot of people are screaming for an alt season like we had back in the days, but I don't think as the crypto as an asset class matures and Bitcoin matures in the coming years, I don't think that volatility is going to be so big anymore, but it will get smaller and smaller, and it will mature alongside with Bitcoin. So those are my thoughts on the current cycles. And regarding the short-term price action, a lot of people are really hyped up by Bitcoin's, rally. Now I'm more cautious, especially on the low time frames. I think personally that it's best to wait for clear confirmations before jumping into any trade. And so we have a lot of resistances ahead of us that need to be cleared before, we can get overly bullish, especially on the low time frames. And as Dom said, there is this sort of rising wedge that has been forming on the low time frames, which is something that we cannot ignore. And so this is something I'll keep tracking. Now, below us, there are some interesting liquidity levels being formed. And I detailed this thesis on my X account that these tend to form, and they have formed the last couple of months. And what they essentially lead up to is a liquidation cascade, because you have these marginal higher lows that form on the lower time frames, and each time a certain level doesn't get tapped, it doesn't trigger that liquidity in that certain level. And so once there are multiple levels that are layered up on top of each other, if you have a bad event or a bad news coming for the markets, that tends to lead to crashes. And so this is what we've seen in late February as well as in early March. We had similar patterns that eventually led up to a liquidation cascade. And in my opinion, the argument for that is that market makers, in order to accumulate with large sums of money, they need a counterparty to trade with. And so they set up these patterns, and by triggering the stop losses of long orders, they trigger a forced sell order off of them. And so they fill that with their buy demand. And so that's how I believe they can accumulate. And this is something we can confirm with spot volume, as each time we have these sort of crashes, the spot volume jumps and we have a major reversal, similar to a V-shaped reversal once certain levels get tested. So this is something I'm tracking on the lower time frames. But again, this until we have, like a clear confirmation that the trend has shifted on the high time frame perspective, we're still essentially in the same downtrend we've been since January, right? Until Bitcoin manages to form a higher high, above 93,000. I don't think that things will really change that substantially. And I think that the current hype we're seeing is sort of more of a relief that Bitcoin is once again pumping after being in such a long downtrend. So this is something I'll keep monitoring. Now, over the past few days, we've seen billions getting added to the open interest, and that is mainly coming from long perpetuals. While we've seen a pretty weak spot volume. Now, of course, there are multiple exchanges, but spot volume is, in my opinion, something we really need to track. But this seems more like a perpetual driven rally, which doesn't end well usually. And so this, if Bitcoin manages to clear the resistances ranges above us, I think we're looking good, from a structural perspective. Now, again, high time frames are still bullish in my opinion. But on the lower time frames, I think we need to see more confirmations before we get ahead of ourselves in saying that Bitcoin has finally returned. And yeah, this is pretty much what I'm seeing.
Love the analysis there. Yeah, great points there all around. And by the way, definitely, guys, if you have any specific thoughts or rebuttals, things like that, throw up a hand for sure. That we got plenty of time still, so definitely want to get some discussion. I want to hit Trading Soldier, and then I believe I see Dom and Bits of Wealth's hands, and oh, there we go. I see all the hands. I think I don't know what's been going on with my X,
Everyone,
but
just put your hands up, and we're all going to
yeah,
put our hands up
everyone
because we're all going to
immediately
comment.
put your hands up now. No, Trading Soldier, we'll go to you first.
Okay, thank you. I'm agree with what Lucas said. If you pull up market cap, coinmarketcap.com, you can see that there are 13 million coins outside on the market, and we just have one Bitcoin, but we have 30 million tokens up there. So I think that the key of this market is looking at Bitcoin dominance, because basically Bitcoin dominance, what it means is where the liquidity is clustered. Okay, the liquidity in the market is one. We are all in one market, and the liquidity is one. So if the market cap of Bitcoin, the Bitcoin dominance, has clustered all the liquidity, right now we are sitting at 61.57% level. This means that, in my opinion, market participants are getting smarter, and everyone is realizing that the easy money that we got on 2021 cycle or 2017 is not there anymore. Okay, the market is hard to extract money from it, and in my opinion, as a trader, I use altcoins as a way to make more money and to accumulate more Bitcoin, because altcoins, Ethereum Beta coins or meme coins, give you a higher delta, so a higher volatility, so you can extract more percentage of money trading that altcoins. But in the end, the only one coin that the whole market is deciding that worth the money that is putting out there is Bitcoin, because Bitcoin dominance is talking by itself. Okay, and this makes me reflect about one thing, and is that in the past cycles there were a lot of lucky traders, and now I think that to make money from this market you need to be skilled, and the issue is that skill requires a lot of time, a lot of effort, and a lot of knowledge. And many people wants to enter the market or wants to approach trading from an easy money perspective, and they don't realize that trading is the hardest way of making easy money. You know, you can be at your home with your laptop or with your phone and make money from internet, but you need to have a lot of knowledge, emotional discipline, emotional control, hours of light in front of the charts. So people are realizing that buying some coin spot, holding it, and then selling it after a 100x percentage is not a possibility. We can see that if Bitcoin dominance starts showing depletion and starts a downtrend. But for the moment, we are since 2022 almost, from an uptrend on the Bitcoin dominance. And this is just telling us that market participants, in my opinion, are getting smarter, institutions are getting smarter, and the whole market has a consensus, this is the keyword in my opinion, a consensus that Bitcoin dominance or Bitcoin is the coin that is leading all the other coins. And you can see, obviously, altcoins outperforming, because we can see AI sector that outperformed in the beginning of this year and the last part of the other year. And we can see that there are certain narratives that are outperforming the market. But I think that the liquidity, if we analyze the Bitcoin dominance chart, is clustered inside of Bitcoin, because the market is realizing that. And now we need to flip our minds from having the mentality of a lucky trader. I buy this coin and I wait, holding spot, and then I will be rich or I will make money. From I need to start developing the skill, because, for example, myself, I'm a swing trader, and I don't care if the market goes up or down. Okay, I just need to follow my trading system and adapt to the market. What the charts are telling me. Okay, my chart is telling me that is short only, is bearish. So okay, I can make money. I don't care. I don't need the market to pump to make money. And if you look at past cycles, people were long, spot long, and they were making money, and they needed the market to go up to make money. But flipping the mentality into being a trader, a derivatives trader, makes you this detachment from the direction of the market. You are just interested in the path of the market. The path is, for example, we can say that the Bitcoin direction is up, but the path where Bitcoin is going to lead to the upside is different, okay? Because the path of the price action will be maybe bullish, then flip to bearish, and we as traders, we just want to outperform the performance of holding spot Bitcoin, for example. This is what I'm trying to do. So to finish my rant here, all eyes from my perspective and from my point of view, all eyes on Bitcoin dominance, because until Bitcoin dominance doesn't show a clear downtrend and we don't see it cool down a little bit, I want to see Bitcoin dominance reaching the 200 EMA on the daily time frame that this is sitting right now at the 59% level. Until we don't see depletion or weakness or a downtrend on Bitcoin dominance, we are never going to see altcoins pumping, even Ethereum, okay? And I don't care how much people want to be bullish on altcoins or they think that their coin is the best coin out there. The market is deciding that Bitcoin is the best. That's why Bitcoin is reaching the price levels that is reaching. That's why all the governments, institutions are betting on Bitcoin and not in other coins. So until we don't see a depletion on Bitcoin dominance, I think that altcoins will keep on this cycle of perpetual bleed out, and liquidity will be kept inside of Bitcoin. And until we don't see this rotation of liquidity from Bitcoin into altcoins, because we see depletion of the Bitcoin dominance, we can see any rallies on altcoins.
Love it. No, I appreciate the analysis there. Saw a bunch of emojis and reactions from the panel here as well. Let me hit
Dude,
Dom.
let trading keep going, man. Trading soldier, my short entries hit, and this stuff was starting to print red, man. Keep going, bro. You're like dumping the market. I love it. If whoever speaks next pumps it,
Yeah, I was gonna
I'm
say
gonna be
Dom's about to
upset.
go,
I'm gonna be
unfortunately, and
upset.
I feel like Dom might pump the markets here.
No, I wanted to touch on what he said as well, trading soldier. He made a good point that I've echoed the last few months, that I don't believe this market is this easy mode anymore. I still see a lot of people thinking that crypto is this easy way to make money where you could just buy, sit on your hands and make, 5, 10, 20x. And I really think this has now became a trader's market. And if you want to succeed in this market, you do need to put in that work. And trading is the easiest, hardest thing I've ever done in the world. And I think that it's something that, if you want to stick around here and spend your time, it's going to be a big journey. And the easy days of buying anything and making all this money, I truly believe that those are over. That doesn't mean that we won't see a few weeks of that ever again. But the general, trends that people have been attracted to crypto for, especially in 2017, of course, in 2021, you could kind of just buy anything and make this money. And I think people are starting to realize that this market's no longer like that. This has become a much more complicated market to participate in. And if you expect to have, a subpar or you know, exceed usual people's results and just the average person, it's going to take a lot of time and effort for that. But the other thing I wanted to mention, I think it was Luca that said it. I just wanted to mention that this this overall market, in my opinion, has been driven mainly by ETFs and institutions. So we should say Sailor and ETFs. And the reason why Bitcoin dominance just continues to chuck up is because the liquidity and the interest is behind that asset. It's not behind all these little altcoins. And I think that's also why he mentioned that the macro environment isn't necessarily the most favorable for risk on assets. That's why we haven't seen, in my opinion, the drastic outperformance that we see sometimes with altcoins. And then to add in the fact that the money's locked in ETFs and it's locked in sailors wallets, that money's not going to easily float all your altcoins like it did in 2021 or 2017. And I'm sure some of you guys know that usually Bitcoin tops and then the altcoins go crazy and top after. That's been the pattern of the last two cycles, but I don't think we'll see something like that again. So I think Bitcoin dominance, anyone expecting it to tank to like 20 or 30%, I think it's a pipe dream at this point. If anything, we'll see a 5 to 10%, little pullback. And within that pullback, we'll see secular altcoins outperform the same way we have, the last 5 months, like XRP, XLM, Cardano, a few other ones that no one expected to perform well. Those were the ones that took most of that dominance drop that we saw in November, December. So I'm still under the impression that we shouldn't expect anything. Like when I say a bounce on altcoins, I just mean a little, 10 to 20% of the entire move we've seen. That doesn't mean anything near new highs or anything like that. We need to see a very big structural difference. I think even in the monetary policy, we need to see rates come down very heavy, and we would need to see liquidity enter the system again at a drastic rate to see altcoins go crazy. So I just wanted to put that out there to temper expectations. I've been doing it now for many months, but people are still on this train thinking that we're going to see this mass outperformance of altcoins, and I don't see it anywhere on the horizon.
Yeah, my comments were just going to be the same thing, right? Because I think Trading Soldier and Luca both brought up good points. No one's really talking about all the overhead supply that exists right now due to the change in the market since the beginning of the year, right? You've got a lot of people that are trapped in underwater trades right now. Certainly has been the case with altcoins. That one's been horrible, and then that also adds, I guess another tangent on that, but is the fragmentation of alts, which has already been mentioned. Think of how many altcoins, and this, just if you're here and you're listening, right, and you bought meme coins, um, in the last 12 months or so. Think of how many hundreds or thousands or tens of thousands of dollars you might have put into meme coins that right now are worth nothing. That's probably the case for a lot of the crypto market. There's a lot of people that are probably sitting on bags of these coins that at one point had value and currently just do not, right? So there's a massive problem that's happened with the fragmentation of liquidity, and that we're not going to pump in a way that's going to resolve that anytime soon, in my opinion, in the short term. So you've got that. You've got the fact that people have been buying the dip all the way down because all their KOLs and all of these accounts on here are screaming that this is the dip and we're going to 250K or whatever it is on BTC. So you've got a bunch of people that are out of money. They're underwater on their positions. What do you think is going to happen as price starts to revert and go back up? People are going to exit at break even. It's what happens every single time. You get people that are underwater in their trades that just want to get out. They want to get out at break even or at less of a loss than they currently have. And that's called supply, and it's up above us. And there's multiple high time frame levels on the way up that are going to be resistance. They're going to be sticky, and it's going to be where a lot of these people that are underwater are going to sell into the market. So, yeah, I just do think that things are a little bit different right now, and it doesn't mean that we can't get a bullish catalyst that's going to suddenly maybe change that a little bit. That there would be some kind of injection of liquidity. But we can't ignore the fact that this is the data. This is the hard facts about the market right now. And much like I've used this example before, but I mean, just like in the judicial system, you're or at least here in the States, you're innocent until proven guilty. Unfortunately, right now the condition in the markets is that they're short term to mid term bearish until proven otherwise, and that's just the facts of the chart.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
100% I agree with what Bits has said. And I think that a lot of people is holding the bag from the previous cycle and also from every pump that we see on altcoins. People always get bullish at the tops. They buy the top because they think that it's a breakout. And for example, in my trading system, I have proven that every time that there is a breakout, 90% of the times, there is a failed breakout. And the issue is that this causes a lot of back holders because the people try to buy the breakout, then they are waiting for the price action to retest the entry point, and the price keeps bleeding out, bleeding out, bleeding out, and they are keeping holding the bag. So this causes, as I said bits before, a lot of supply. But this is caused because people trade based on emotions and they don't have a trading system. Okay, they do not invest the time and the effort required and also the knowledge to create a trading system and trade based on rules. In my experience, I know many people here on X and other platforms, also many of my students that I have inside of my trading Telegram group, that they trade based on emotions. And this is a big mistake because you cannot enter and put your money on the line if you don't have a system, a trading system, and if you don't have a plan or you don't have risk management, emotional control. So you need to have a lot of points assessed and addressed in order to be a successful trader. And it's true that this market is a trader's market. Easy money is not coming the way of the people that is buying spot and holding because the market is not giving them the opportunity to exit at a higher price. Okay, and this is a mean reversion market. Every pump that we got, it reverts back to the starting point. And this, at the end, what it causes is that the only people that survives inside of this market is the people that has good risk management, has a good trading system, and that trades based on rules and not based on their emotions or their perceptions or they try to predict the market. Because this is also a big mistake that I see with all the people that I know, is that they try to predict the market. And they don't realize that as traders, we need to react to what we see on the charts. And do not project what we want to see on the charts. Because this is another issue. Many times people say, okay, I want to see the Bitcoin price going here or Ethereum price going there. No, you don't. The market doesn't care about what you want to see or where the price you want to go. Okay? The market is going to move. And market just moves, reckless. Doesn't care about you, doesn't care about anyone. And you, as a trader, you just need to navigate. You have to navigate this market and position correctly to adapt to the waves of the price action. And the issue is that the 90% of the people has a normal job, or they see some YouTube videos or some post on Twitter, and the expectations that they have on trading or on the crypto ecosystems are not in hand with the reality, because the reality is that trading is not an easy work. You need to become a better person and address and learn a lot to be a profitable trader. And 90% of the people has their normal jobs, see some posts on social media, and they have the wrong expectations and they think that this is easy money, and it's not this way. And that's why they are holding the back and they will never get money from this market. They need to become skilled and not lucky.
Yeah, great points there, Trading Soldier. Saw a couple hands pop up here as well while you were speaking. Let me hit Price, then Tony, and then we'll come to Luca here as well.
Yeah, just a couple points. So when I was looking at stablecoin dominance, just noticed that there is some support right below us. When I look at total 3 with the stables extracted, we're coming up and testing a level of resistance. So those two things are kind of lining up. Also, when I went and looked at like the order flow and all that, the order books, it looks like some orders or stack of orders, resting limit orders that weren't here yesterday, have appeared sitting pretty heavy between like 85 and 86K. So just a couple points there. Also, like I remember, what was it, a few days ago or over the weekend, just kind of talking with Calvin a little bit. He was asking about, if I thought, price action, just kind of talking price action. And I just brought up the point that, like, I would have liked to have seen more shorts, more short interest. Like, I kind of figured we might get a squeeze. I was kind of hoping that it would, like, would have held off a little bit to kind of build up more shorts. Like when I looked across exchanges, we're almost split, almost still like 50-50 with the shorts. Still kind of like a little bit more on the less liquid exchanges. They were, leaning more so towards the short side. But yeah, man, I was just hoping that there would be more short interest built up because, like, in order for us to really break through, I just talked about, like, we've just built up a lot of resistance above us. And in order for us to really break through that, we really would need two things, like some kind of catalyst event and just a lot of shorts like built up for the squeeze. And we've seen somewhat of a squeeze, especially on some of these alts, because some of these alts definitely did have more shorts built up. And like whenever I see my weekly resistance zones having price breakthrough, like on the first test, just cut right through. That's, because of a squeeze. And a lot of times also when it happens real early in the week, if we don't have a sustained like squeeze and a sustained run, then a lot of times that will end up closing back underneath the week underneath that resistance zone. Um, and that's kind of what I think I'm seeing here. So anyway, just wanted to like kind of bring up those data points. Um, and I forget who was mentioning it about seeing like, yeah, this is more of a perp run than a spot run. And yeah, pretty much agree with that. So
Hey, bad
Right
price. Don't
on.
worry, man. We're moving into summer. There's going to be no shortage of shorts.
Oh boy. Here we go. Here we go.
That was a
Let me hear
dad joke.
Tony.
It's a bad joke. It's a dad joke.
yeah, got it, got it. Yeah.
What's up, Tony?
Hey guys, yeah. So I forget exactly who made the comment, but was talking about how the altcoins made ridiculous gains in the past, and I just wanted to call attention to some data around Ethereum and that initial run when it first was launched from like 2016 to the top in 2017. This thing did over 900,000% return on investment in from like the 2018 bottom to the 2021 top. It did another 5,700% return on investment. And what I'm getting at is, although we're not at any sort of like ridiculous lows, and it's not that scary out there, there's just a ton of people who bought at some point, and they are still in some type of profit and still have some sort of selling that they may do, especially as price gets lower. Someone else mentioned selling at break even, very common strategy when people are kind of tired of their investments not performing. But what happens if people start to sell when they're at like an extreme loss because they're like, oh man, I want to hold on to even 5 to 10% of what I used to have here. Maybe people aren't willing to sit through a loss. And where I'm going with this is we've all discussed this at this point. It seems like the thing everybody got wrong this cycle is they put all their hope and expectations on previous cycles. And when your hope and expectations don't come to fruition, that's a hell of a lot more painful than any sort of financial loss. I'm way more okay with losing, $100,000 than I would be with realizing the crypto market is going to a bear market for 10 years and we all don't have like as much money to make. These are the things I think of. So, I just fear what happens when these people finally give up on their hope and expectations. And I'm someone who really looks at and believes in Elliott wave principle, and Ethereum's lower high is very concerning for me because this could have been a B wave in an ABC correction, meaning we have a C wave which is absolutely filled with panic and fear that could slice through everything we've done so far, and find us back in sub $1,000 levels. And you know what? Even if we're at sub $1,000, there's still people, if I measure here from the very bottom at sub $1,000, they still made over 500,000 ROI on the 2016, 2017 cycle, depending when they got in. So, there is still a lot of incentive for people cycles and cycles ago to sell. And sometimes when there are these enormous rallies, they do take some time to unwind. And I'm going to point towards XRP for that sort of situation. The thing did absolutely incredible. It's one of the most outstanding returns in all of crypto during 2017. And it took 7-8 years for this thing to unwind and finally do well again. Ethereum did well in 2021. Dogecoin did well in 2021. What if it takes another 7 years or plus to unwind those rallies? These are things that people have to think of. It doesn't just mean market go up because it did before.
Those such great points that you make there, dude. I mean, it's just yeah, it's I think a lot of people, unfortunately, I think you nailed it in saying the expectations is a problem, and I think it's something that we talked about on Luca's space, I believe, over the weekend. But yeah, expectations they can hurt. I remember last year listening to people on spaces talking about, oh, as soon as Solana hits $800, I'm cashing out and I'm paying off this and I'm buying my car and I'm doing that. And so what ends up happening is you kind of get the same effect with and I'm not picking on Solana people, but it was an example because of how strongly Solana was performing, right? It was like it was just ripping. And so a lot of people were kind of betting everything on Solana, right? And the same thing happened in ETH back in when it ripped. Same thing happened with XRP. I know people that held XRP for a long time because they experienced, they round tripped it. What happened in like 17, but um, yeah, you kind of get the lottery effect, right, Tony? I think is kind of what we're talking about. Like when people buy lottery tickets, a lot of times people sit down and if the jackpot's big enough, they're sitting there planning like all of the things they're going to spend that money on. Dude, I'm going to do this and I'm going to buy a boat and I'm going to buy a house and I'm going to do this. We're going to go on vacation, blah blah blah. And so you kind of have that same effect in crypto when people are talking about the cycles. They're like, "Oh, I'm buying the bottom and then I'm going to do this and then I'm going to quit my job, I'm going to retire." And when that doesn't manifest in the reality, it can be rough. It absolutely can be rough. Luca, you had your hand up
Yeah,
as well.
bits. It sounds like
Hey,
you
what's
got a
up?
bear going on, bro.
It sounds like I have a what?
Sounds like you got a bear crush going on, bro.
Oh man, I always like to keep it real, man. I got to give both sides, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Should definitely. We were talking about this the other day on these spaces.
Oh,
Good traders should definitely make multiple game plans for upside, downside, chop, whatever. Just make those game plans. Like Bits and I, like, what was it, like a few weeks ago or something, talking about like, yeah, we think we're probably going to go up to around like 92, somewhere around there, but get everyone kind of bulled up, right? Like, everyone kind of needs to get, just like how I was talking about with short interest, shorts building up. Same thing with the downside effect. Like, you kind of want to get traders trapped. Like, that's how you capture the big moves, is trapping traders. So, just some kind of move that would get everyone like bulled up. Think you made the comment like, whenever you see on the timeline people like, oh, we're so back, that's the time to be like, start hammering the shorts, right? So,
Yeah, great points there. Let me hit Luca for a final take of the show before we wrap. It's been an excellent space, by the way. If you haven't already, please follow all the speakers up here and retweet the space if you're enjoying this conversation. It's been excellent. Yeah, definitely give them a follow and definitely stick around as well. We're going to keep the conversation rolling here with the Glyph team. They are the largest lending protocol on Filecoin, which is pretty crazy stuff. But we're going to hit Luca for this final take of the Market Talk conversation.
Yeah, what I want to say about the Bitcoin dominance was that a lot of people have been wishing for a breakdown in the Bitcoin dominance over the last couple of months. And, as there's the saying that be careful what you wish for. A breakdown in the Bitcoin dominance would actually mean that the cycle top is close to being over. The cycle is close to being over. So, you know, that's something I'm tracking right now. The strength in the Bitcoin dominance, I believe, is actually bullish moving forward for the crypto market as a whole. Now, altcoins, of course, might suffer in the short term as they've done for the last couple of months, but I believe that everything is leading up to this environment in which the Fed will end quantitative tightening. You will have a macro catalyst that will end most likely the underperformance of altcoins. And so that's when the Bitcoin dominance actually starts breaking down. And that's when Bitcoin starts the distribution phase. So that's how I see things playing on from here in the next couple of months. And it's pretty obvious that the narrative will be around soft landing and everyone taking risks, everyone becoming really excited about, quantitative easing and new liquidity coming into the financial system. And so that, I believe, will be the narrative that will put an end to it. But until we see it, things are looking pretty good. And as we've seen for the last couple of days, with people calling for a recession or calling for a better market, that's not how cycle tops develop, in my opinion. We didn't see the kind of euphoria that will lead up to cycle top. So this is the last point that I was trying to make. It's been a great space. Thanks for having me again, and we'll see each other in the next one.
Let's get it. Yeah, great takes there, Luca. And shout out against Dom, Bits, Luca, Price, Tony. Um, shout out to all of you. You guys are beasts. I appreciate all of you. Training Soldier, of course, as well. Great to have you guys up on stage. And yeah, we're gonna roll into this next conversation. We're here with the Glyph team. I believe the Glyph account was up here a second ago.